here, have a copy of it too. And even though peculiarly the times are significantly different, if you look at it, basically, they're still doing or looking at the same kind of things we're looking at today, or were at the time. And again, it still serves, I think, a good purpose to look at it and then kind of take it up from there.
Comparison.
And we can see what we've been able to accomplish today
Right.
and what's still hanging around. If it's still there on, there on the list, then it must have important that people are still saying we need to do that.
And again, for example, one of the real concerns at the time was lack of affordable housing, homes, and then a proliferation of the other kind, meaning the mobile homes and the manufactured homes and so on, which do nothing for, or very little for our tax base. But it's essentially something we're still facing today.
Right.
But the affordability now is even less than it was before. I mean, because
Oh, yeah.
what rents were like, $300, $600, now it's hard to find any place to rent in the city of Floresville under $1,000. And so.
But who could have anticipated the oil boom? You see, that
Yeah.
kind of came in there.
Yes, and so having that would definitely be something
Absolutely.
that
I
we
agree
could look
with you.
at when we do a slow analysis, going, okay, this is what it looked like then, and so what's still there that we still need to address, that we said we definitely, because housing was one of the things that I mentioned when I did the workshop for me at the city council. Housing is an issue that we want EDC to look at and address. So what it was an issue then, what's the issue now? And so we need to, how's it say in the Bible, we probably quote it better than I can, you're due to, repeat your history if you don't know. Your people can't prosper if they don't know their history. And so history is very, very
And
important.
again, all I'm saying, take a look at that and see, how we match compared to then, and then kick off from there. One of the things you might notice in there too, which I think we've progressed a long ways from, it was a lack of land use planning. And that's always been a problem. It's a problem now because we can't do much with what's already there. But that also is a thing in there, and obviously we've moved towards getting much better situation now during the last couple of years.
Right. And I think I've dealt with
This was Angela.
retail coach
Associates.
before, and I think their claim to fame is to tell you how much leakage you have outside the
Well, I'm not
community.
even talking about that.
And those are horrible. I mean, those numbers are in the millions. What I find interesting about this particular company as Retail Strategies is that they take that, but they also place companies and restaurants and retail in areas that are similar to Floresville as a profile. They deal with these companies that, here, if we're trying to get a Denny's here, we may not be able to, Denny's may not come to a profile like Floresville, but they know that, and they know what kind of company will come into Floresville, and it may be IHOP or something, but an IHOP Junior or something, but they deal with those people every day because they're trying to place them in the communities, and they have that knowledge that we don't
No, I think
from
that's great.
their experience. And that's the one thing that, where the rubber meets the road as far as I'm concerned. It's one thing to have these leakage reports and, but it doesn't put anything on the ground here. And a lot of times I think we waste our time going after these big name retailers or restaurants when they're no more going to come here than a monkey's uncle. But we waste time when a company like that we're talking about with Strategies knows that, and they zero in on companies that love to do business in a town the size of Floresville and the makeup.
And I
So,
think, Mr. Gonzalez, as you said, that the uniqueness of being here in the Eagle Ford Shell is that, you just can't count our rooftops. And so, Floresville looks very, very small when you just look at 6,000 or 7,000 people. But when you what I really need them to be able to do is to sell all of that traffic, all the traffic count that goes on, all that, it doesn't make any sense. And so what I'm telling them, You know, we have the HEB Express that put in $1.5 million in refrigeration. And he looks at me and goes, what? I'm like, my HEB Express
Yeah.
put in a $1.5 million worth of refrigeration to upgrade. There's a gas city across the, on the corner,
Corner
the
store.
that's coming. I have a 20, and he's like, what? For 6,000 people? I'm like, yeah, so we need to be able to tell a better marketing story of what's going on in Floresville, because they can't just come and count the rooftops. Of the in and out and the traffic that comes through here and it stops. And so we service a lot more people. So that's what I'm hoping to get from them, and also be able to market our downtown. Because it really would be, I think, with the courthouse and all the activity, and I'm telling you, Mr. Talley can tell you better than I can, and so can you. It's hard. Trail riders, I had lunch there today, it's hard getting in and out of there. I mean, if you don't get there and get your seat before 11:30, it's not happening. So those kind of activities we're hoping to encourage.
One final word. I wasn't meaning that what we did back in '87 still applies. That wasn't the idea at all. But I'm saying we had something like that. Don't miss out on using whatever was there that might help us as a background.
I agree, because we can say we've done these things, but something like the house is still on that, we need to address.
What time is the meeting?
6:30
Okay, 6:30.
here.
Anyone?
Everybody needs
please-
to be there.
Please be there. We also have coming
City
up,
Hall, I assume?
Thursday?
Yeah. No, that's a Tuesday. Yeah. Okay.
also we have on May the 17th, we have our first annual balloon spectacular out at River Bend. This is supposed to be a pretty good sized event. I think we ought to all reach out and support it as best we can. I think it'll be certainly a shot at arm for Floresville. Pass that around.
Yeah, Paul hadn't done this yet, Paul, but I guarantee you, they're gonna hit us up for monetary contribution. But this is, Market Floresville as well as River Bend.
Are you talking about like paying for
And I
a
think-
ride for Jason, or what are you talking about?
Well, they're looking for sponsors. I mean, somebody's gotta pay these balloonists, and they expect, free room and board and their propane gas. And, I think last count I had, there were 10 or 12 balloons left. So
10.
maybe they can get the gas out of Mr. Smith.
Tent?
Yeah, good luck with that.
You don't know, Mr. That's on camera, so.
He wouldn't disagree with
No, no.
Well, that was meant as,
Well, I think that's
that was
cool.
meant as a joke.
Yeah,
You know.
I think that's a cool event.
It is.
It sounds like it.
Well, I guarantee you, because I've had one up in Belton, and they draw a crowd, and that's because every day we don't see, we don't see these
Where's it going to be
balloons
conducted? At River Bend?
at River Bend. And there's a map on there, basically, the fairway just before the parking lot for Lou's. That's where they'll have, and they've got about 3 different parking areas.
I suspect it's not going to be near large enough.
I don't think, I think they ought to be worried about the parking traffic.
There's some
But,
big,
you know,
big
it's-
for that river and stuff, I think they can.
I guarantee you we'll have people out of San Antonio and everywhere, because you don't get to show your kids, balloons and night glows and stuff. So,
Well, the marketing is very simple. They would sell a one-way trip or two-way trip.
I'll take it too.
But I do think that's something we all should reach out to. I think it's an opportunity for Floresville and to museum. C is a whole bunch of things we can look at here together. It's going to be, I think, a whole lot like the workshop we had with the city. A lot of the items that are here, it's going to be impossible to follow straight in order. But basically, I think we're just trying to discuss a lot of do's, don'ts, and things and good ideas that we could use, working together as one. The first one brought up is Sales Service Marketing Floresville Brochure, currently a joint effort for a common look and theme. should be interviewing agencies by this time next month for ideas and costs. Require professional photos, layouts, content, and final product. And I know this is something we've talked about at council, correct, about cost sharing, and we all agreed through the workshop with the council that it needs to be a professional that lays it out and does it. If we want to attract these major companies or just people, we're gonna have to look, we're gonna have to look professional. And I don't know if the council has someone that wants to spearhead and get it started, just to start getting ideas of people coming in. Okay,
Say that again, Diane?
There'll be one presenting on the 17th.
Okay.
Everything.
that's good. So I guess what I'm reaching out to, if y'all need more help from us to do whatever,
Y'all
We're-
are paying 3/4, we're paying 1/4.
and then we'll split the rest, right?
Belong.
Who's the
belong-
group, who's the group that's coming in?
Graffiti, Senate Laredo.
Say it again?
Graffiti.
Graffiti?
Not to be confused with graffiti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they offer print media as well as electronic media, and we're looking at doing our social media and our web pages, and our, those are in the web page too, because we really want it to be cohesive, to have the same theme or same color, same flavor, so that if you go to EDC's website, you go to city's website, if you go to city, you go, it's all under the link, but we really have the high-tech kind of thing going on. We'll link now, but it's not really what we need to be.
And
How do we come up with this particular company? Is there any competitive process?
Back when this first came, hold on, I remember, because everybody was trying to get out of there. We had our current person, David Jura, to come up to present to the council, what he sees to, ramp up the, site. And then, I think this gentleman, has worked with, other entities, and I think he presented to the mayor earlier, and, so he came and presented to the council as well. But the council didn't take any action on it. And then we've actually had new members, as you have new members. And so what I want to be able to do is to have everybody feel comfortable with this, if we're gonna partner with this company or another company. So it's kind of like we're starting just like what it says here, bringing people forward. Say, yep, we like him, we wanna go marketing. No, we don't have any idea. You can sole source some of this because it is kind of a marketing priority kind of thing, or you can go out and do, request for proposals. But you need to get a feel of, a flavor of what you want and what you see, and I wanted you to be able to have an opportunity to look and see of all his information.
When do you think I would recommend we have a joint meeting, just like for,
He's coming on the
retail
17th.
strategy.
He's coming on 17th.
Oh, he's coming as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
he's
right,
coming
great,
as well.
great.
Because I figured I have to take advantage of the fact that it's not often I have
Yeah.
EDC and my council meeting, so I'm trying to do it too. Then, Tommy and I can go and do our work based on how this board feels, how my council feels, but it's a great opportunity. So this is truly a workshop meeting, where we have two people to present, and then we can go from there.
Yeah.
Well, the put from the question is, if someone were asked to make a decision as to do this with this particular person or not do this, part of the question needs to be answered first is, I've looked at 10 different companies, I've vetted 10 different companies, narrowed it down to 3, and then narrowed it down to this one, and if we're going to hire somebody, this is the best we can get. That's the question I'm asking.
We haven't taken that approach, we're taking it, we present and say, this is all we can do. Because I don't know if we can actually write a request for proposal, because our boards don't know exactly what they want. And so he's bringing the full gamut to say, this is what I can provide for you, this, and this. And you all can decide as a council and the board, we really don't want to go on that, that's maybe too high tech for us. We really want to do some of the basics and then we could do a full blown proposal. But it's kind of like, I can't ask that question because I don't know what my board wants, and I don't know if Tommy is going to say what your board wants. So
I mean, he definitely has a menu of a
Oh, I'm sure he
whole lot of
does.
things.
I'm sure he'll sell us 100%. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But it seems to me, even though our board doesn't know what they want, it would be entirely possible to talk to some surrounding counties or towns and find out that, oh, we've done a similar type thing. Here's who we used. Here's what our RFP looked like. RFQ, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, because we just.
I'm not trying to second guess, I'm
No,
just saying.
but this is not the final
Yeah, this is
decision. I
all-
mean, it's just information gathering.
Right.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to say too, though, is I serve as a state association president in Austin, and we recently did all our web stuff as well, and there was proposals anywhere from 11,000 to
Oh, I'm sure.
25,000.
Yeah.
And it ended up being that the lower cost proposal was the absolute best we found out of Houston. And so, you know, the other thing would be, I'm sure TML has other sites to go to. And then one other thing, and I don't know, maybe they have vendors for something like that possibly, but one other thing I want to mention too, as an EDC, I would agree with the theme and trying to get all these things to coordinate sometimes can get very complicated. We have, no doubt, you know, if Floresville has a theme, we need to kind of follow that theme in our materials and so forth. But we have a certain set of things that we need, or we need to market to our potential prospects. I don't know that I want to make it so complicated with multiple people in it the whole time. You know, it might be that we say this is what we need to be promoting out there after communicating with other EDC departments instead of reinventing the wheel. And then we kind of take that concept and say, okay, here's this. Yeah, add your look, your feel, your colors, that's fine, but this is what we're actually after here. Because if we try to do it as one big whole conglomerate, it could get really drawn out, and I think as an EDC, we almost need to move faster than that. You know, because we need to be more nimble in the process. That's just kind of my thought. You know, this is a good way to open the discussion and just see what they have to say, and then we start maybe doing
And then we can
RFPs from
actually,
there.
you know, use his presentation as a way to brainstorm, and say,
Right.
yes, this is what.
That's what you said.
But they may have, or the next person that we walk up to, you know, they may tell us something that we didn't realize we needed.
Yeah.
So we can also learn at the same time.
Yeah, this would be just a start, no
Yeah.
doubt it's needed. Now, at one time, of course, we did have some brochures that were developed and that were provided, and that has changed, I'm aware of that. And we definitely need some more marketing materials.
Sure, absolutely.
And we need to be looking at, besides just the web-based folks, which I guess you said they do print as well.
They do everything, all the way through even visitor
Okay,
invites.
so we'll kind of cross that road, I guess, when we get to it.
Yeah, he'll get into talking about, he's got ad placements. I mean, you know, his menu includes, hey, you want to be in Choice magazines, here's a readership. And if you want to advertise in a magazine, this is the best place to do it, or whatever it is. He's got a pretty wide swath of, we can narrow down
It's a
for
good
sure.
food for thought, so that you can say, okay, and then we can get together and decide what you all want to do and go forward. But, you know, it could be too big to that, what our package is, we want the premium package or the middle package. But I just think it's exciting for me to say that I'll have both boards together at the same time, hear the same presentation. And just as Mr. Chalabi have a question, please spark a thought, and one of my councilmen to say, okay, that's not what we want. And then we have the historian at the end of the table who's gonna say, historically, we've already done that, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. That we can come back and say, that's already done, let's move forward, so forth. So I'm excited about the meeting.
But I think if anybody knows of the search company, you know, their name's welcome in the hat. I mean, it's not a sealed, you know, done deal with anybody.
And there'll be no action, this is
No.
from the city council's portion.
It's total transparent.
It's just presentation of it, is all I'm asking, presentation of it.
Okay,
You know, that next item, if I'm.
Go ahead.
Since this is just kind of brainstorming and just kind of throwing thoughts out there. And, you know, this is just simply some questions. One of the first persons that anybody has contact with when they come to the city to do business with is usually the permitting department. You know, what do we need to do, what is required? So, you know, what kind of materials, like in a package, gets provided to those prospects? Because that package is very, very important. You can either make a really good impression, you know, the department could be terrible, but the package of materials could really sell it. You never know, okay?
Well,
And so-
we're hoping to come with a standalone kind of take with you. One of the things that I'm working with Mindy, because we had Cindy, who's no longer with us, but we have Mindy who's new to the city of Floresville. We want to put together a package. And I need to be able to have it to be consistent. We're working on doing, and I know Andy, Cindy started a fee schedule for it to be a full package, which needs to go on my website. And so it can be where you can figure out what it is. We even have the calculator, so you say your value of your construction is $2 million, you punch in two, it'll tell you what your permit fees are, it'll populate it for you. So we have that on the website. So we're trying to put together a comprehensive package to say, here it is, here are the ordinances, because they don't want a whole book. I mean, I got a book like this, an ordinance, but here are the key ordinances you need. You're doing a subdivision, you want to know these ordinances. You're doing a commercial, you want to have these ordinances. So we're trying to put that package together. It is a job, but we definitely need to be able to put it together so that Tommy can have it, Mr. Lambert can have it, Jay, anybody can have it to say, oh, here's a developer, and here it is, along with our contract as well. So as we're trying to put that package together, I found some before as I put it together, and then of course I want to point everybody to the website, because that's so important. And the website be user-friendly, so we can answer most of those things, send that generation, because I mean, I get them, and right on there, you get them sometimes, some of those complaint things that come in over email. I'm like, where are these things coming from? Sometimes it's like Russian or German, I don't even know what it is. So we need to be something really that can email and populate that. So I think it's definitely needed. Hopefully we can get this wonderful sales package together and have one for developers, because I want to be a developer-friendly community, but I also need to be able to have the data that they need, that they're asking for, more than just our population and our square footage and those kind of things. I need to be able to tell them, here's a zoning map. I see Mr. Pullen's a very good map man, so I need to say, here's our zoning map, here's our land use, here it is. So we can put together a comprehensive package. It can stand on its own. So a developer could decide, this is what I really want to do. Even to have a smaller version of our map so that people could understand business loop and 181. Because from an outsider like myself, to me, they were the same thing.
So what kind of timeline are you wanting to see that? Because, I mean, we're really behind the curve and having that kind of information available. Because that's so key, especially when we're dealing with,
Okay, Mayor says May 1. There you go.
you know, dealing with, you know, new potential prospects, is that frustration, and we've heard these frustrations before, is that it's either takes too long or we're not getting the information
So what I
because.
can do is put it together, and I can share it with Tony, what our package looks like, because it's just a draft form, and I can get you probably something within the next 30 days. It's just a draft. And then we can help build it.
Well, and then one thing, Tommy, where you could help with this process is I would recommend get with Seguin, since they're so willing to share all their information. When we did our investment, you know, policy here and a number of different documents, you know, all I did is ask for Seguin's copy, and then we just changed the words and we copied it. That's what we did.
We've been successful,
So,
and we
you know,
can utilize that to our advantage.
I think Seguin and other communities, New Braunfels, and go ahead and get some of their materials and tell them why you're asking for it, and they'll be willing to give it to you, and maybe we can glean some ideas and say, that's really good, no, that's not too good, and then bring it together for something we really don't have to reinvent. All we have to plug in is what Floresville's requirements are. Yeah.
And the documents you're talking about, can it also include Phelps as part of the process?
Gosh, it has to.
Huh?
It has to.
Those in the gas company as well, their forms and.
They're part of the city.
And they need to be part of this process too. You know, we keep hearing stuff about the challenges that and changes at Phelps in various meetings that we've had here.
We've got a Phelps board member right here.
Yeah, so I don't know what their mindset is or what their thinking is long-term, but we've had a few potential developers that said, you know, and you know what, I realize there's two sides to every story. You gotta be careful with that, is people said, oh yeah, such and such did it. Well, in reality is they never did get off of, dead center to get anything done. We don't know, but
In all fairness, a lot of times it's that they talk to the wrong person, but they don't tell them they're talking to the wrong person.
right.
To get them to the right person.
That
Or
was
they
a-
don't understand what the process is.
Was the point I was gonna make with Henrietta, is putting this package together, to simplify it, not make it, as we talked about in the workshop, more difficult, but also have a go-to person, because you call back in, you're already frustrated because you can't fill out this paperwork right. And you call and you go through this automation and you keep talking to this robot, and you never find the human to talk to. Well, I want to talk to a human who can explain this to me, because I want to get this project off the ground. And so I think we should do something as you get the draft put together, Jay and I, Jason and I, Jay and Jason, whoever wants to do it, walk in as a mock developer. Show any project.
Sure.
And we sit down and then walk us through us, hand us our stuff, show us what we need to fill out, how we do it. We'll walk through, we'll go to Phelps, we'll make all the traps, and then report back exactly how we're treated.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be important for us to invent it and then try it out, and see how it works, because it represents the city as well as it represents you. I mean, what good is if you go find these sharks and I can't,
Can't
build a
reel 'em
shark
in.
tank, but I can't reel them in, it doesn't count at the end of the day. So I think that's gonna be something that we all look at the forms, because sometimes, when you're working on the project and you fill out the forms, Tommy and I worked on that EDC, PowerPoint presentation, and even after we had read it, he had read it, and somebody else had read it, when it was in, I found a couple of things, like, man, I missed that one over there. So it.
Well, everybody's gonna make a mistake, that's
But
why
I said,
we.
if everybody has a chance to look at it and have an opportunity, and the more input that we have, the more buy-in we'll have from EDC as well as the city. So we can put it together, and it's just gonna help me do my homework. I can put it together for my council as well as you. The council can make comments on it, EDC can, and then I get to report to the council that I reviewed this with EDC, we're gonna try it out and see how it works. And with staff as well. Contact list is also important. And I agree with Mr. Tucker, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, we can take somebody else's and be able to do that.
One thing that I also think is important is that, regardless if it's the city, the county, the EDC, the county health inspection departments, any of those, anybody that has a hand in new business development or continuing business, I almost think we need to have a joint meeting and just simply talk about the importance of how people are treated at the customer service level. We're all on the same team. And really, maybe we come up with a community theme, and we make sure that all the heads of these entities are inspiring their members to be thinking that way, because we all know that first impressions can go a long way. And so maybe we need help go ahead and coordinate some of that joint effort and talk about why it's important that they treat people a certain way when they walk through that door. It could be our next $1 million, $2 million, $3 million entity that lands here. You never know.
Sure, absolutely.
And that's just something that I've been thinking about, that maybe we, as the EDC, might ought to coordinate that and show everybody, hey, we're team players and we want to be on the same team.
You don't want to judge them by their clothes.
No, not at all.
And
So-
so the schools also, because a lot of these people come in with families and they want to know about their schools.
Something else that I know is gonna come up is that I've had some civic clubs talk to me about, one, that the city entrance signs need to be redone. They're in bad shape, and that these clubs, and I'm gonna get a list of them, but they would like to be around the border of a welcome sign that shows that there's a Lions Club and there's a this and a that. And obviously they're gonna pay for their placard, some tasteful something. It's not gonna be huge, but where they're all around the city sign that says, hey, we have all these civic clubs and groups within Floresville, and we all welcome you. And somebody's gonna have to pay for those signs. So I don't have the information right now. Paul Sack is getting it for me. But that will be something I'll bring forward because we need to dress up those signs and make them look good. One is on Mr. Frazier's place coming into town, and the other one is on
And
South.
EDC paid for a number of those signs and split the cost with the chamber at the time. That was back in the 90s, actually.
You're going back
So-
with Fred now.
Yeah, we're the historian. But anyway, you know, I don't have a problem personally paying for stuff like that out of that marketing budget, because if somebody else doesn't have the funds, then I think we need to do
Well,
it.
and
How
our
many goes
thing, that's
back?
basically EDC type stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, what Paul has mentioned is, you know, less than $2,000 a sign, so I don't know what that buys us, I'll wait to see, but he's got some contractors that say they're willing to do it.
Now, one thing I want to bring to, at one time, many years ago, I had Harry Grove design an entrance there at C Street. And I have it actually, I ran across it at my desk just yesterday, no, Friday. And it's really a cool deal that could be a way that we really clean up maybe that C Street entrance and take some pride in that corner. We may not be able to acquire businesses on each side. I think ultimately, if that could be done, it'd be really cool if we had a nice gentle curve coming into C Street with a nice corridor. But maybe the
Get rid of
arch.
some of this lodge for them.
Oh, that sales tax again?
It's the happy club.
You know, maybe the arch could be something that would dress it up, and at least people know that, yeah, there must be something down there.
That's a great idea.
I'll bring that. It's really a cool little
It's in your
depiction.
office, Henrietta, there's a copy in there of that ordinance that he's talking about.
Dated what year?
Probably like 90s.
A long time.
It was just a concept at the time.
The economic development is obviously going to be external to the city limits in many cases.
Right.
And I think it's foolish not to try to get the county on board with us. And I don't know how we go about that. Do you meet with Commissioner's Court first, as first step? But they should tie into this effort that you're talking about in terms of a sales brochure.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion. I just think it ought to be. You gotta include them, you gotta include the school.
Yeah, the courthouse.
We'll invite them to the
Oh.
17th.
Well, don't forget that they just turned 155 years old.
What?
Thursday's
County-
their birthday.
Thursday is county's birthday, they're turning 155 years old. I was there for their party, my hair and I were there for cake, and we're gonna do a proclamation, and Mr. Pullen, you're right on time. Wilson County should participate, because we are the seat of Wilson County, and it definitely has to be something that the county needs to come in and partner with.
Well, who's gonna take the initiative there? What's the next step as it relates to that? Assuming that everybody's in agreement on that.
Invite them to the 17th workshop so they can hear.
Talking to the new
An
county
assignment?
judge,
An
Pardon?
assignment?
Pardon?
talking to the new county judge about what we can do together.
Yeah, I think that
Sure.
needs to be your
Sure.
goal.
Yeah.
You go share what we talked about tonight and, you know, tell it, you know, we want to have everybody on the same
Yeah.
page.
And I need to talk to
we're
him
all
anyway
together.
about the,
Either get on board or get out of the way.
yeah, I gotta talk to him too about the, you know, the training center, because I've talked to one of the county commissioners and he was very excited about it, but told me to wait until the new judge took office, where he would be enthusiastic about listening to things. It's time.
I think it's a good idea to get them involved, they should be involved. If they don't, boy, get pretty quick, Lavernia's gonna be the new county seat. They're growing. And growing and growing.
Yeah.
I hope not, it's not in my cases either. They're not slowing down.
If it's okay with y'all, I could follow up with the county if y'all want.
Okay,
I have to go to the
So-
full
that's good.
So at this meeting, when we're gonna talk about this sales, shouldn't we invite some Floresville School District people?
The problem with that is that actually, I think that is their board meeting night.
There's probably more than one person at the school employed there.
I thought their board, that's their board night. I will reach out to invite as many people as possible.
Some of their counselors, somebody, and they've got somebody that.
Well, I'll ask,
In their business office, they've got 5 or 6 business people. Now, they've got a whole school that used to house 150 kids. Now they have administrative people, so I'm sure there's somebody over there who can come.
we'll invite them too, because I think the more people, because, like I said, he's coming here, but we're not gonna have this opportunity, we wanna take advantage of this opportunity, so I'll invite some people as well.
Good, good.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Another good point. Okay, moving along. We've kind of covered interaction between, well, we haven't, interaction between city of Floresville and Bear and Wilson counties, Atascosa County, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all see some brainstorming there that would benefit us?
Well, I just think, Tommy, you need to be meeting with these people on a regular basis. In Bear and San Antonio, because, you know, there's opportunities there that might fit our market down here that does not fit their market. And we need to be in a position on a first name basis for them to say, you know what, we may not be able to meet your needs here, but I know Floresville has this going on, and you might want to talk to them.
I'd like to see our county judge and our mayor reach out to the people in San Antonio, the elected officials there, as a first step, and identify follow-on steps for people like Tommy. I think there's some opportunities there. that
It's
just
start with
waiting.
their Fiesta event that's coming up, maybe we can have something in the middle of town, Fiesta, stretch it out. So we can get some of them to come down.
We can, I can assist you there on that. You know, I had lunch with the county manager and one of the commissioners in Bear County today, so follow up on that. Like I advised you, I had a couple meetings with the state senator and the mayor there in San Antonio, so I'll be more than happy to take the lead on that.
That's great.
And get the EDC director and city manager and the mayor involved in that.
You just got to believe that San Antonio hears about opportunities more than we do.
Right.
And so I know if we could be in the loop.
Well, they're supposedly getting 65,000 fans for a fight on May 2nd, on May 9th. So, you know, that's, one thing is, how do you also that,
Yeah, yeah,
you know? So, you know, that'd be good to do some type of, maybe, because it's just 20 miles to drive
Downtown.
here, you know,
Yeah.
and it's a good shot. You know? But that's something, May 2nd or May 9th, it's expected.
Chris, you don't have to go that far to find a fight.
I'm just saying, when it involves,
Right.
it involves San Antonio, and Bear County. I mean, you know, that's one thing is that usually when you put, you know, somebody's gonna search for to stay, how far, I mean, you know, maybe we can get a little where they can market for us over in that Google or whatever, whenever they're trying to find a, you know, how to open up things. I think it's great.
You know, one thing I skipped over, and the mayor could probably help us a little bit with this, because I do realize there are some projects underway as we speak, but the infrastructure status of water, wastewater, EMS, fire, roads, city services, internet, just kind of hit the high tops.
Okay, the city of Floresville has contracted with M&S, one of our engineers, to do a water study. That's supposed to be back, and he's going to be presenting in June, it should be done in June. One of the important things in reference to development is that it'll be able to talk about our water capabilities, where we're gonna be able to do our water, what our plans are in reference to water and stuff, I'm just talking about water. One of the things the engineer said that was really kind of interesting, and Greg covered it all in the paper, was that water capacity is always a question. We have the water capacity. Even when one of our wells was down, we had the water capacity. The problem is that where it's growing, that's not where I have my water. And so we have to talk about as we going forward, if we're gonna dig another well, if we need to dig another well, it's mostly because we need to put the water where the expansion is going. Because where I have the wells now, it's not necessarily where the growth is. The wastewater actually is, that portion is done. It came back and we need to expand our plant, and we do need to have, I never say it right, Singing Frog Park. As part of that, Singing Frog Park, to be part of that expansion. This expansion is somewhere between $5.3 and $5.5 million. Now, it would include the 2 lift stations that we would have to upgrade, as well as some other infrastructure. Because if you can imagine, I have this wonderful plant, and I can't get it there, it doesn't really work. So it's gonna be full comprehensive, the plant expansion, but also infrastructure, addressing those kind of issues that we have, as well as some of the lift stations that need to be upgraded. That wastewater is done, and we're going to the USDA, actually meeting with them next Wednesday, to start that grant, to start that loan process. It's called the USDA grant, but it's really a loan. The former city manager can tell you, he started a whole lot of work. We still have a whole lot to do. If you ever want to have a nightmare and get some gray hairs trying to fill out a federal grant for millions of dollars. But we're looking for somewhere between $5.1 and $5.5 million. EMS and.
What's the probability of getting that? High?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we fit the criteria. I mean, we are a rural community, small. We've been impacted by the Eagle Forest shell. The development is there. We don't have the funds to do it. It's pretty good. And it is a 40-year loan.
So, let me ask you this question. If you look at this map up here about the ETJ, or forget that. If you just think about the expansion of water, what are you talking about? What does that look like in y'all's mind as it relates to the expansion of water services and sewer services?
Can I get to that? Okay. All right, so we're looking at.
Is that a fair question to ask?
Yes. Okay. This is actually a CCN map. This is the best map for us to look at. And so if you look at the yellow is actually right now on the board what the city of Floresville is contracted to do with the cell in our CCN. The white is actually not, but we're servicing what's in the white. And as you see the other communities that serving, and they're not trying to grow. So there's not a territorial fight. Okay. So as you look at the dotted line, that's us, Floresville. And then of course this yellow line is our picture. So most of the growth is going towards San Antonio. Okay, so even Richardson's, I see it right now, Richardson's, the water supply is by Oak Hills. They give water, but sewer is us. So we have to be able to get our growth there. But we've had on the books and proposed to us by, let me get, where's the junior high? The junior high here, that looks like a 300 homes there, and going towards your industrial park here, they call it the Lake Project. That's not in our jurisdiction, that they want to annex in, it's another 600 homes there. I don't have too much water here. I don't have enough water to serve 300 homes. So that's where our expansion is coming, and expansion is coming this way. And we met with Oak Hills, the mayor and I met, along with our engineers.
That's today.
That's today, yeah.
I'm thinking
Long term.
10, 20, 30 years out.
Which is what we have to think about was, for the next growth, where should we put these ones? Where should we focus it on? And so, but I can't do that until I figure out what I have right now. Because if you ask me right now today.
Okay, I understand you need to solve today's problem. I understand
No,
that.
I need to find out what I've done. I don't have what I've done. They've never done an analysis, at least within the last 10 years, of what we have. So what my water capacity is, I don't know what it is, so I can hit. When I have to be able to expand it, I don't know. So that's what he's doing the water study for. And then once we're able to say, this is what I am, this is what I have, then we need to think about and think smart for the smart growth, where we should put the next water.
Let me ask what I hope to everybody is not a rhetorical question. Is anybody smart enough to say, here's a way you can picture the growth of Floresville and Wilson County over the next 20 or 30 years? Is anybody smart enough that can do that?
Somebody come do a plan for you. Yes. And actually, the city,
North or on the 97.
the city of Floresville did.
Whatever that looks like should drive your water and sewer long-range plan, should it not?
Yep.
And M&S did the comprehensive plan for the city, a 5-year plan that they did some time ago, where they did our projections, and they did like a projection of what the population would be. That's the same company that's doing our water analysis now, and then we're gonna plug in their projections to see where it is. But what he's saying at the meeting is that we have enough water for now. The thing is, the question is that, will we have enough water for the future, and where should we put that water? So you're asking the right questions. And we're hoping that when they come back with their analysis, you can say, did it answer your question as to where do we put this water? because that's what's important. Do you have the capacity? Yes, even though sometimes it turns brown. when-
Just a curiosity,
But
just a curiosity, does Oak Hills own the water rights, or the right to provide water to where Richardson Chevrolet is gonna be?
Yes.
Yeah, they own all.
They own
my
that,
boys.
right?
Yes, and we even talked about
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe what we can talk about, and we started disciplinary conversations, because McCoy to say, there's a infrastructure right there where we can buy water from them to supply for people as a backup or an alternative or emergency. So those are kind of questions we need to ask now before our system gets tapped out.
Yeah,
Or
sure,
as we talk
sure.
about expanding where we should put this water. So those are the kind of things we're having in reference to the water, which are very good questions. And I'm hoping when he comes up to analysis, he'll answer your questions.
All this stuff needs to be done yesterday.
Well, we
Jay,
did
something
we
to-
did the Oak
Yeah.
So,
That will-
Hills.
that
We
will
met
help
with
you
Oak
answer-
Hills and they
Yeah,
told us
yeah.
that they have plenty of water, you know.
so y'all will have to provide sewer to Richardson's?
Yes.
Or,
Within 3 years, we have to come, and that's what is going to be part of the annexation plan going forward, is that we have to provide them with the infrastructure within 3 years, or it reverts back.
right.
And I don't think it's.
What rule is it that drives that 3-year time frame?
The annexation rule.
We have expanded the city limits out there?
We have not,
Self-annex.
but we're going to do that.
We're going, okay, okay.
We have not, but that's
Okay.
part of the process, that you'll be seeing some public hearings going
Okay.
forward. In reference to the EMS and the fire, the city of Floresville did enter into a contract with EMS, as the county. Our fire department, as you know, is a volunteer fire department. And we need to definitely think about, following, Pleasanton that's talking about doing some paid-on-call firefighters.
Mhm.
That's definitely gonna be something which affects people's insurance. It also affects developers counting when they look at your services. And we have high-story buildings, but we didn't have them back in the 90s.
We don't have a ladder truck.
So if I have a 24-hour fire station, and I have a home in the city limits, and that fire station can handle that area, I'm not exactly sure what all those rules are about, my insurance is gonna go down.
Yes,
So there's a cost savings from an insurance perspective to a homeowner for us to have a paid fire department.
yes.
That's just something I think we all, Floresville, ought to look at.
Well, I agree. And one of the thresholds that happened is, it's like a rule of thumb, 10,000 people, you know, if you have 10,000 people, then you can start doing it. But because we're under 10,000, the only way you can get it going is you have to put it on a referendum, and I don't think that the citizens are ready to bear a tax increase in reference to do that. But that is definitely something that we need to put on our SWOT analysis to say going forward, we do need to look at, and I have to say, because the first time I said, people said, oh, she doesn't like volunteer. I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's a yeoman that people would leave their jobs to come fight a fire at my house. I think I'm honored that that would happen. But I think that what's happened when we had the La Quinta, and we have these other high-rise or some big industry, that we won't be able to, you know, if we get this big distribution company, could our volunteer fire department be able to handle that? And so we need to be able to think about, as we're going forward, that's definitely going to be something that is an opportunity for us to grow and to think about a paid-on-call, to have them 24 hours a day, and, you know, not just be 100% volunteer, even though they have done a yeoman job and continue, I mean, they just had a fire the other day, they continue to do a yeoman's job.
How did HEB resolve that issue, of fire protection?
They have a booster pump, they have all kinds of sprinkler systems.
And they're fully
All our two-story buildings and big buildings like that need fire protection in order for them to.
They've got their own fire protection, the way they
They've
saw it.
got their own booster pumps, each of those properties.
Our road projects are starting, so hopefully when the weather's coming, and I know more about McCain's right now than I will today, but we've hired a part-time person that retired from county, who drove the maintainer, and they've been trained, and so cross-training is something that we're doing, and the roads are there, and we're gonna be reporting on those, so hopefully in March, we have all the equipment that we need, that we can go forward and be able to use that wonderful street maintenance tax. Internet is a issue, and so
Let's solve it.
if
That's expensive.
I can throw money at it and solve it, but I don't have Time Warner's money to solve it. I don't have that kind of money that Time Warner wants. We can't copy off of the school.
Has anybody talked to
library.
GVEC about coming here?
Yeah, I tried to sell it to them at one time, I'm pretty
I
sure.
don't think they were interested in coming to this area.
Huh?
I don't think they were interested in coming to this area.
Because there's not enough density of population?
I don't know what the reasons were.
I think they were approached several years ago, I really did,
Um,
before Phelps had there now.
Tony introduced me to a cable company that I actually facilitated a meeting with Mr. Dickey at Phelps, because of course it's all about the poles and getting up on their poles. And, you know, Time Warner has some things that get up on the pole for the high school. They were able to get up on some of the things for the elementary school. And definitely this is something that we want to partner with county about, because county is actually, but I'm open for any suggestions, because believe you me, it is painful for me not to be able to have.
Well, I'll bet you that if you got Phelps and some potential internet providers together, that problem would be solved. If Phelps would agree to use their poles for some of the service.
And Henrietta, and I
Certainly
met
for
with-
areas like Bentwood, as an example, where there's a significant density of population. Because once you get into the area, then you do it over the air. You don't use a wire.
Henrietta and I met with a cable company that was gonna take over this area, but they had to meet with Phelps and find out if there was space on the pole, how much they were gonna charge for that space, and whether they had to use new wiring or they could,
And
use
Phelps-
what's there, and I've never heard back from them.
Well, Phelps is Mr. William Fassett, he's new, right?
Uh-huh.
And so they're doing just like what I'm doing right now, he's taking analysis of where they are, what their poles are, because as you can imagine, the growing pain that Phelps is having right now, just trying to keep up with the demands. I think you all mentioned earlier, they were saying they were 6 months behind for commercial development, because their market increased so much and they weren't necessarily ready or poised for it. So
That's
they're
not
doing-
encouraging for somebody who wants to move into new development.
Yes, so they're doing their polls, they're doing their analysis, they're doing where they can put their power at, so that's what, in their grids, that's what they've been working on, that's what their focus is going to be.
That's the greeting you'll get.
Huh?
That's the greeting you will
It's
get.
6 months.
Well, that's unacceptable.
Well, they've worked it down from 6 months, but at one time it was 6 months, and they're really working hard on being able to provide them with the power that they need.
Ultimately, we're gonna have some discussions with Phelps if we intend to be successful.
Well, and I think that this discussion should be around the contact people, around the application, and maybe the powers that be